And yeah, I don't know what any experience in this. Go ahead and check.
Stay all good up front.
Hello everyone. I think we have very few, most of them went for the sun outside. Okay, my name is Suneet Agrawal. I'm a part of ShareChat team, mobile team. Okay, and we are an Indian company. We basically provide your content sharing into the vernacular app. We are the vernacular app. We provide content sharing into your native language. Okay, so today I'm gonna talk about the APK size, which is the most problematic issue which as a developer or as a user we face very frequently. But before we start, I would like to ask a few questions to you. So how many of you before downloading any app just go to Play Store and checks what is the app size? You check it, okay. So you do check the APK size before downloading it, right? Okay. How many of you are familiar with these pop-ups? I'll be very honest, from the second one, I'm very familiar with the second one because when I was using my older phone, I need to uninstall an application to get another one. That was the situation. So, I don't know, you guys must be familiar with these pop-ups, right? Okay, let's have a look at the how people think about this thing. So, like we see the trend, out of 100 people, every 70% of the people, they go to the Play Store and check the app size before downloading it. They check your app description, they check the screenshots. If they feel okay, worth downloading, then they only download it, otherwise they don't. Okay? And rest 30% are the people who just say, okay, I'm on Wi-Fi, I really don't care, I'll download it. So yes, 70% look at the app size before downloading it. Now, the next question comes in, so how does the app size affects our application, or let's say, what is the impact on our application of the app size? So today in the same talk, there's someone, a gentleman presented a number, how much it affects to our application. So somewhere around 4 to 5 MB directly impacts 1% of your conversion rate. Let's say if you increase your application size from 4 to 5 MBs, it will directly impact to the conversion of the users by 1%. That means, again, app size is an issue. If you increase, the conversion rate gonna drop for sure. So, next question comes, as a developer or as a user also into our mind. What should we do? Should we limit the features? Or should we limit the size? What should we do? What is the solution? So again, we are in a generation where we assume that anything or everything can be done using a mobile device. Because it's a smartphone, we can do anything using this device. On the other side, we have something called a limitation of app size. So if we want to add new features, if we want to add new functionalities, we need to compromise with the app size. So what is the ideal case? What should we do? So the ideal case will be, let's say, if we can give an option to try the application to the user, if they can try applications, Once they are okay with it, if they realize, okay, we need advanced features, then only they download it, otherwise they don't, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say I use camera. One of my other friend, he also uses camera. He is a pro in camera, okay. He want additional features like, okay, bokeh effect he wants filters, he wants stickers, he want all the cool stuff that he want. He want to post a selfie using all those cool stuff. But on the other hand, I am the person who just clicks a selfie, a normal picture, and just post it. So I don't need the advanced camera feature, but he needs it, right? For him, it really makes sense to have that advanced feature, but for me, it really doesn't make sense. But as a company, we cannot put two different features for two different users, right? So let's try to figure out what was the use case. How did we cut short the APK size? What works? Okay. I'll tell you my story or our story basically. So, like I said, we are share chat. So we were planning to have something called an advanced camera feature where we were using the native camera of the Android. On top of that, we were planning to have filters like autofix filter, let's say black and white filter, CPI effect, all these kind of effects we were planning to have. On top of that, we were using some 3D stickers like, okay, if you're pointing to a face, the face will be replaced by a cartoon face, or maybe on top of that you'll have a cool glasses on your eyes, or maybe a helmet kind of thing that we can promote. Those are 3D stickers. Apart from that, we were planning to use FFmpeg. So for those who doesn't know what is FFmpeg, FFmpeg is basically a library which is written in C++, which is being used for video and audio manipulation. Let's say if you want to merge audio and video, or if you want to stick two videos together, if you want to stitch them. So these kind of stuff you can do in using FFmpeg. So we were planning to have FFmpeg and all the stickers, 2D and 3D, all the filters along with the camera. So we planned this thing, but overall we thought about the APK size also. So this was our situation. Before all these functionalities, we were somewhere around 8 MBs. After adding the FFmpeg, it gave us an additional size of 18 MB. Apart from that, we were planning to have like 3D stickers, 2D stickers, where you need ML kit to figure out the face points, where you can put the 3D stickers or 2D stickers. Let's say glasses, if you want to put, you need to figure out what are the face points where you want to put the glasses. For that, you need 3D models, ML kit, and all these things. That was contributing somewhere around 12 MBs. So our overall APK size increased somewhere at 38-39 MB. Now again, jumping from 8 MB directly to 38 MB was a big move. I don't think so anyone will agree with this thing. Can you live with 38 MB? If I ask as a product manager to anyone here, can you jump directly from 8 MB to 38 MB? I think everyone's answer will be no. But again, do we need these features? Yes, because it's gonna make our camera very advanced. We can give an option to the users where they can click a selfie where they can put it, where they can edit it, where they can put 3D stickers, and they can do much more. Okay, so same question. We need the feature, but we don't want to increase the size. So what was the solution that time? What can be done? Okay, so the first thing we tried was the app bundle. So app bundle is basically publishing your application in a bundle where all the things will be figured out based on the user's device. Let's say, what is the language of the user, what is the density of the user's device, what is the architecture of that user's device. On the basis of that, we'll figure out what is the best APK that should be delivered to the user. So ultimately, app bundle is a new format in which you release or you publish your application to the Play Store. Ultimately, the thing which will be delivered to the user will still be an APK. Okay? So, like I said, so what are the things that on the basis you can split the APK? One is language, second thing is densities, and the third thing is the architecture. Again, let's go step by step. First, talk about the language. Usually, we give an option in the application itself where you can change the language. In that case, it is not helpful that much because you want to put an option to change the language within the app. So it won't be that helpful, but if you are dependent on the OS language, yes, you should go for splitting APK based on the language. Second thing is the density. Density affects much if you use PNGs for your resources. Like if you use PNGs or if you have different layouts for different densities, then it makes sense. But if you are using SVGs or any compressed file or anything, then this is also not going to affect much. In our case, the third thing was very helpful because, like I said, we were dependent on 3D models and all these things where you need to compare your face points, you need to figure out where's the left eye, where's the right eye, what are the XY coordinates. For that, you need to compare it with a 3D model. For that, we were using different architectures, we were using different models and different things for different architectures. So in our case, the third thing was really helpful, like splitting on the basis of architectures. Okay. So again, we went through with this thing, we implemented this thing. Let's have a look at the implementation. So basically, I'm assuming here that everyone is aware about the build Gradle, right? So the Gradle file, you just need to add one tag, which is basically a bundle tag where you need to put on what basis you want to split the APK. Like here, all three what we discussed, one is language, second thing is the density, and the third thing is the architecture. So you just need to put a true and false. This is the basic format of splitting an APK on the basis of these things. On top of that, we have multiple options which you can use if you want to modify this thing, like instead of just, if you want to filter, enable and basically, if you want to split the APK on the basis of that particular option, you can enable, disable. After that, we have something called reset, where you can reset the existing list on what basis it was getting splitted. After that, you can add your own list on the basis you want to split. Like if you want to split on the basis of ARM7, x86, and x86 64-bit, these specific things you can specify so that you can split only on the basis of what you provided. Now, the last option is the universal APK, where you can use it to generate an APK which can be used as a testing, or maybe if you want to provide it to other stores for distribution. So the last option is only for generating a universal APK. So again, let's come back to our use case. Like I said, we tried this thing, we figured out, okay, language splitting is not going to help because we changed the language within the app. Second thing was basically densities. Since we were using only the SVG format, so it was not going to affect much. Third thing which is left was architectures. So we thought, okay, it might help because we are using 3D models and all these structure-based, architecture-based code which is written in again C++. So we thought, okay, this might reduce the APK size, the ultimately APK size which is going to get delivered. So we thought, okay, let's go with this thing. Architecture particularly, let's split the APK, let's figure out, let's publish it into the internal group and see what is the APK size which is ultimately getting delivered to the user. So any cases, how much we reduced to? So we were somewhere 8 MBs, we jumped to 38, 39 MB. Any cases after that, how much we reduced to? A rough estimate? Sorry? Okay, any other guess?
16.
Okay, fair enough. So again, surprisingly, we just reduced 6 MBs. That's it. We were still at 32 MBs. I'll give you the reason why we just jumped only up to this size. So basically what happened that time, we thought, okay, C++ code will get splitted. The ultimate thing which didn't get split was the models through which it was comparing. So models are again 3D models to which you need to compare your face. Again, faces can be different, so you need multiple models. You need to, over the time, you need to improve that comparison and you need to make it fast. For that, you need multiple samples, which are the models. Because we cannot split that model, so ultimately the thing that got splitted was only the C++ code. Apart from that, everything was present everywhere. That was the reason we landed up to 32 MB. Again, same question. Can we jump or can we live with that 32 MB? From 8 MB we jump to 32 MB. Can we live with that? I think no. Everyone's answer will be no. So at the end, what came to the rescue was the dynamic delivery. So dynamic delivery is basically writing your code in a modular way, where you are going to deliver only the base features to the user for the first time. After that, you put or you decide the user, you let the user to decide what he or she wants. Like in my case, like I said, my friend is an advanced pro camera user. He want to use all the additional functionalities of the camera, so he can request for it, he can get it on the fly. Let's deep dive into this, how this dynamic delivery works. So I'm pretty sure you guys might have seen this picture in the morning also. So basically you have base APK, you have all the base configurations there which will be installed on the user's device for the first time when he gets the application from the Play Store. On top of that, he or she can request for any new feature on the fly. Now the thing is, that feature will be downloaded and installed on the fly on the user's device. He doesn't have to, again, over API level 21, he doesn't have to restart that session. That application will be updated in the same session and he or she can use those features. There's no limitation for the number of features as of now. You can have any number of features. You can give an option to download that feature within the app, or you can even schedule it. Let's have a look how it works again internally. So this is how it works. So user requests for the base APK. Once he or she visits for the first time, he'll get only the base APK which will have the minimum features, which will have all the functionalities which you want to be in the first time. After that, he or she gets a list of, whenever he visits that particular section, he or she can have a look at what are the features available or they want to download or not. That will be downloaded on the fly. Not only that, you can even schedule a new feature to be downloaded. Let's say if you don't want to bother the user or if you don't want to interrupt the flow of the user, you can schedule this thing. If that size is less than 10 MB, that won't give a pop-up or notification to the user that hey, this module will be downloaded. Otherwise, it'll show a pop-up to that user. Or you can basically remove also a module which is not being used. Let's say if you want to put something which you want to show only once. Once your functionality is done, you can schedule to remove it. Okay. Let's have a look how did we how to implement this thing. So I'm pretty sure that anyone who is from Android background must be aware of Android Studio and the modules, how to use modules. So when you create a new module, just go to the section on the left side and create a new module, you'll see this option. So if you're getting this dynamic feature module, perfect. Otherwise, you just need to get up and update your Android Studio. That's it. There's no other reason that you're not getting this option. Just click on the dynamic feature on any existing app. This is almost similar to any new module what you create. Okay. Like module name, it's common to any new module what you create. Package name is also similar to any package name which we give to any new module. And the third thing is the minimum API level. The only new option I can see here is the base feature name, base application module. So think it this way, any dynamic module will be installed only on top of any existing application, not to any new feature. It's like, okay, your base APK will 100% be there whenever the user requests for the new dynamic module. So yes, this base module name you need to select on top of what application you want to get it installed. Again, this is a drop down, you can select from the existing base module which are present in that particular application. So once you click on the next here, you get another screen which is new from any other normal module. So you have something called the module title. This module title is different from the module name. Module title will be visible to the user whenever he or she requests for that particular module. I'll show you how that pop-up looks like, but yeah, this name will only be visible to the user, it's not being used in the code. So this is different from the module name. You're allowed to use space here, you're allowed to use any other special character here, but not in the module name. Apart from that, you have something called the inclusion type. Okay, so this we'll talk in the next slide. Below that, you have something called Fusion. Fusion is basically, like I said, this dynamic feature is only supported above Lollipop. So below that, you need to figure out whether you want to give a complete APK for the first time or you want to give it only when the user requests. So if I check this thing, what will happen if a user from API level 19 request for the download, for the additional download. He'll get the complete APK after the second time, and that will be installed, and he need to restart the session. But if I uncheck this thing, what will happen? The first time itself, whenever he or she requests for that application, the complete APK will be installed to the user. This is no different from a normal bigger APK size. Okay. Now let's have a look at the second option, which is basically the inclusion type. So you have three options here. Looking at the text itself, I can say the first option is basically what we want, on-demand feature, whether you want to provide this module as an on-demand or not. Second thing is basically the normal thing where you put everything into the first time in the APK and it will be included at the first install time itself. The third option is basically it's specific to the devices where you want a special feature. Let's say if I want OpenGL 2.0 into my application, that is a minimum hardware requirement that I need. In that case, this will be very helpful. Apart from that, it's almost similar to the first one. So these three options you have while creating a new module, dynamic module. Now, once someone click on the done button, what will happen to the existing code base? Only thing you can see difference is basically you have a new module added into your project structure. Apart from that, the main app which you selected as your base module, inside that you'll have a dynamic feature will be added as a new module. Okay. And apart from that, you have simple normal new module which will be added into your structure, code structure. Now let's have a look at all the existing, all the new build Gradle and all the new files, major files. So this is how your new manifest will look like. Whatever options we selected there while creating a new module, which will be visible here, like if you want it as an instant app or not, what is the title of that module, what is the delivery type, on demand or not, or what is the fusion type, these things we selected while creating that module. If you want to change it, you can change it anytime from the manifest of the new module. Second screenshot is basically the build Gradle of the new module. So this is similar to whatever we selected or any new module which we create. So you have something called minimum SDK version, which is completely similar. Target version, the version number, the version name, and the version code. Apart from that, you can see an implementation of your base module into this. So what benefit this gives you is basically you can reuse any code which is written into your app module into the new dynamic module. Let's say I have a service which is written into my main module. I want to reuse it. Or if there is some database, room database, or something which is written, the classes or the wrappers are already written to the base class. Since this module will be installed only if your base module is present into the phone, in that case, we are 100% sure that code base we want to reuse is already there in the user's phone. So yes, this implementation of your app module gives you a benefit of reusing the existing code base from app module into your new module. You don't have to rewrite it again. Now, let's have a look at how do you install or how do you request for a new module. There's something called Spirit Install Manager Factory. You need to create an instance of it. You need to pass a context of. You need to pass a context. Again, from my personal learning, I can say pass the application context instead of activity context. So ultimately, what happens? Let's say if the user presses back and if the activity get killed, this will be again blocked. So pass the application context here. It will be very smooth so that if your application goes into, if the user navigates to another activity also, or if the activity is destroyed, this app context will be alive. On top of that, you need to create a request object where you need to pass name of the module. Again, we made a mistake here. What we made, we put this string into the translations. That string get translated and we got an module not found exception at runtime. So again, do not translate this module name. This should be only the one which you created, which you put while creating that module. Do not put into strings.xml. Better put it as a string constant. Below that, you need to request for the new module. You need to start this thing. Again, you have two listeners. One is success, one is failure. Success means that module is installed, is first downloaded and installed. Failure is because of any reason it can fail. Let's say network is not there. Let's say if the user exceeded the limit of the download, or let's say if it's not able to install. There's some issue with the installation. So again, this gives you an option of all the things. If you want to put the success listener, you can navigate to the new activity which is present in the dynamic module. Or in the case of failure will give you all the options. What are the options? Whether it was a network error, whether the module was not available, or the user exceeded the limit. There are other options also which you can handle case by case. Okay. Again, when the user next time open your application, you don't need to install it again and again. What you need to do is basically check at runtime, okay, whether that module is present into the device or not. In that case, it's a single line check whether that module is installed or not. If yes, just start the activity, otherwise request for the download. Now, on top of that, if you want to show on your own that how is your progress going on, let's say how much percentage is downloaded, that you can also figure out. You have something called a progress listener. So you need to register a listener which gives you a callback. Let's say whatever be the state, it will give you a callback. Let's say if the user confirmation is required, if that is pending still, or whether it's updating, whether it's downloading, what is the progress. So in the progress or downloading state, you can figure out what is the total number of size which is downloaded and what is the total size of that particular module. In this case, you can show your own notification that this much percentage is done or this much progress is done. User can wait for this thing. Okay, this is going with a great speed. Okay, I can wait for this thing. So yes, you can show your own custom pop-up using this particular listener. You can get the updates. Now let's have a look at the users. How will it look? So I'm pretty sure this you might have saw somewhere in few apps. So basically, the first blank screen will show you the app name, and the second blank screen will show you the feature name. Above that, you have something called what is the total size. Okay, so it'll be like, okay, this particular app want to download an additional feature of this size. Do you want to download it or do you want to cancel it? Again, if the size of the module is more than 10 MB, it'll show this pop-up, otherwise it won't. Now, again, few people confuses this thing with instant app. So again, instant app is something when you go to Play Store and there is an option of try now button where it opens your application there itself. You have very minimal features. Okay, let me give you an example of e-commerce app. So you can have a browsing functionality there. You can browse all the products, all the things there. You can at least get a feel of that application. You can have a basic screens, okay, how it look like there. But when we talk about the dynamic delivery, here the base application installed in your phone. So you have all the capabilities of putting, let's say authentication. You can put a card functionality. Once the user logged in, he can add into your card or anything you can, if you want to do in a base functionality. Only thing, if you have an additional download or additional functionality, you need to put in the dynamic module. Apart from that, I personally feel that instant app doesn't give you entire feel of the app. Let's say if you want to browse a product, if you want to look at the comments of the users, there's limited section that you can put into instant app. But in the case of dynamic module, you can put anything or everything you want to. It's just that you need to decide what is the size of the base APK. Apart from that, there is no limitation. So yes, this is different from instant app. In many ways, it gives you a complete feel. In instant app, you can only get the feel of 2 or 3 screens which you put into that. Now, few things that you need to keep in mind while using the dynamic delivery. First then, it doesn't support below 21 API. So below 21, the user need to basically restart the application. He or she cannot use it in the same session. Apart from that, you have an option, you can give a complete APK to the below 21 users where at the first time itself, it will be a complete download and they need to install it the first time itself. Second thing is basically from app module, you don't have any reference of the code of the dynamic module. Like I said, in the previous screens, what we saw was a dependency of app module into your dynamic module. But the other way around is not there. So let's say if you want to trigger a new activity or service from your base module, you need to use the complete package name of that new activity classes or any fragment or any services, and you need to pass it to the intent because you don't have any reference. So let's say if I want to open activity 3 from activity 2 of app module, I just need to give the complete name of that activity using the package name. There is no other way you can trigger that particular activity because you don't have any reference of that activity or any fragment or any class. So yes, these are 2 limitations. Apart from that, there was no limitation in the dynamic delivery what we used. Again, let's come back to our use case. So we used this thing and it worked very well. Now, like I said, we were somewhere around 32 MBs. After using this functionality, any guess where we landed up in what was the final size of the base APK or the dynamic module? Anyone want to guess? So we were somewhere around 32 MB. We landed up finally at the base APK as 10 MB and the dynamic module or the camera module would be tried somewhere around 30 MB. So again, we came back to 10 from 8, we just jumped 2 MBs and the dynamic module was 30 MB. So it was a win-win situation. We got the feature also, we got the app size also reduced. It was just 2 MB, so 2 MB was okay because we were getting the new feature. Apart from that, there was nothing else that got added and 30 MB was an additional download. Just a quick recap, okay, whatever we had. So basically, first thing, we cannot limit the features because what we assume from this smartphone is anything or everything can be done using this. Second thing is basically to reduce the size, you have something called app bundle, which is a new format of releasing the new your application. Third thing is basically if you want to further reduce the application size, you have something called dynamic module where you can put the features on demand. Only limitation with this thing is, first thing, it is only supported below 21 and yeah, that's it. It's only supported above 21. Below 21, you need to give still the same option. Either at the first time installation, you need to install the complete APK, or that session need to be restarted. Okay, and you can use the dynamic feature in any existing code base. It's not like, okay, I need to change my code base or if I need to remove some classes or something. It's just that at any point of time you can start this thing. Okay, and that's it from my side. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Now we are open to questions.
My question is regarding this dynamic delivery and everything. I was thinking, like, let's say that, for example, you have an app that has support for multi-language. Then is there any way that you can dynamically deliver the languages? Because at the end you will be changing for example, the basic resources of the app. Mm-hmm. So you cannot extract it to a different module itself. So do you know any way to do it with this dynamic delivery?
So again, as far as my understanding, you are only talking about delivering the strings file on the fly, right? So I can assume this will be for sure less than 10 MB. So you can put your base APK with all the basic language, let's say English, okay. After that, you can schedule this thing. Whenever user changes your language, he or she can download the additional feature. That won't require a confirmation from the user. So yes, you can put this thing. There's no limitation for this.
Okay.
You told ourselves about the module title when you create the module on demand, and which is displayed to the user. My question is, so you can't translate this? Like every user, no matter his language, will see the same title?
So your question is, can we translate the module title? Okay.
Yes.
So yes, it provides. So this string will be stored again into strings.xml. You can translate this thing, but that translation will be visible to the user when the phone's language will be changed. Okay, so he'll get it in the language where whatever he selected. Let's say Portuguese. If he selected phone's language as Portuguese, he'll see that into Portuguese. But that is again managed by Google Play Store, not by us. So you just can provide the translation. We never tried this thing, but yeah. I hope, because that is again saved into strings.xml, you can provide the translation with the same key. We never tried this thing.
Someone?
Anyone else?
So, Sam, thanks again.
Thank you.
Cinco não. Dois. Thank you.
Can you one more time or it's okay? It's not a rule. Hi. Thank you so much. Sorry.
To you about the question regarding the languages. So, what is your use case?